Why did you not start it yet?
Hey friends, I think we're live now. Good to see you today. If you can see us, I'm glad you can see us today. This is Giving Tuesday, and we're talking about 1040 Connections today and how 1040 Connections is extending the gospel to defend life, multiply leaders so that we catalyze disciple-making movements. And today we're going to be talking about life and a maternity home.
And so some of you know that we've been working on building a new maternity home in a new South Asian nation. And we've been working on this for a little bit of time, and the land has been bought. The process is beginning to happen, and we are excited because we have a matching grant of $100,000. And so with that, we're going to be able to complete if we fulfill that, we're going to be able to complete the building of the second maternity home. And do you want to jump in and tell about
the first maternity home's in a different country?
Oh yeah, this is the first one in a new country, a country with millions of people, and they don't have any maternity home existing in that nation. And so Chad will tell you a little bit about how we're going with the building process. But before that, I will just say that we have seen such an incredible connection between speaking about the physical value of life of both the unborn and the mother and of families that has enabled 1040 Connections to move the gospel to some of the most least reached areas of the world. There's just a direct connection to just talking about the value. And I'll tell you a few stories in just a minute, but Chad will first tell you where we are, updating you on the construction of that home.
So this all started because tomorrow is actually Joy Sees Jesus Day. We miscarried a baby named Joy a few years back. And so in
15
honor of baby Joy,
Leslie
wrote a curriculum called Voice for the Voiceless. And this curriculum presents science and health and women's body information and reproduction systems and abortion information and health, weaving it all together with the gospel, showing the value of both the women and the preborn. And so through that, we've been able to equip local leaders in different countries. And so through that, we've seen women have chosen to give life instead of aborting their babies. In one nation, there were so many women who wanted to give life that they said, we need a maternity home. So 1040 Connections and you as donors helped us construct a maternity home in one nation. And now we have a different national coordinator in a different nation. And they're having the same thing. A lot of women are choosing to give life to their babies. And so they want a new maternity home there. And so this is what we're constructing. So we still need about $50,000 to come in. We have like I said, $100,000 matching grant. And so the matching grant lasts through the end of the year, but today's Giving Tuesday. Many other organizations just have this matching grant on Giving Tuesday. Ours extends until the 100 is met. So be great if y'all could jump in on that.
And so today we're going to talk specifically about the maternity home, knowing that the first amount that comes in will be finishing that home. And then we have plans for the second part of that matching grant that comes in. So it's some exciting things that fuel disciple-making movements and that meet tangible needs as well.
So this past summer, it almost got jammed up and stopped because
the maternity home,
because a neighbor who had no trouble with the previous owner suddenly decided to have a land dispute about where was the boundary line. And so that took 3 months, June, July, and part of August until they got that all settled out. Now it's settled. And now the land is ours in the proper way. The Life Maternity Home is coming up there. They put the boundary wall in. That's an important thing. So the entire property is bounded by a wall.
They also have dug a water well. They struck water that had to go down about 400 feet to get clean water. They did that. So now there's water that will be given to the women that live in that home. So that's been great. We were able to find water on the land.
That was so good.
It's huge.
Also, the foundations have been dug. They've got the concrete foundations there, and then the steel rebar is coming up there. And so we've been getting live videos of the concrete machine cranking out the concrete and the guys carrying the bricks on their head and those kind of things. And the steel rebar has been guarded by a guard for the past few months because the construction couldn't take place. And so the guard was sitting there guarding this piles of supplies as the land dispute continued.
So there's lots of details to building overseas. And we're so thankful for our partners that are from this nation that oversee all of those issues. They do such a marvelous job. And just to give you a couple of stories, Voice for the Voiceless, a few years ago, we were living in Asia and we called together evangelical leaders from different nations that were recognizing that the issue of life, it was a gospel issue, that we were able to move the gospel through proclaiming the value of life. And so several nations came, and this one particular nation came where the maternity home's being built right now. And we couldn't really understand why he came, because we were like, this is a Muslim nation. We're kind of surprised that there's abortions there. And he said, oh, there's loads of abortions there. We just call it a different name so that the country doesn't have to report any of the abortions. And so it's called MR, monthly regulators. And so in order to make you more regular, they give you a pill, and
if a woman's pregnant, she's not regular.
And so they give you the pill or do whatever procedure, and then they make you regular again. So as he and some of the partners there heard Voice for the Voiceless, they were equipped to train this curriculum inside their nation. They began to do it in multiple areas of the country. And over and over and over again, we have heard multiple reports of people being amazed about the value they finally understand that they themselves have as born adults, never knowing they really had value, and just the joy they feel to find out that it's Jesus that gives them that value. And then, of course, that goes down to the value of the inborn baby. Value not based on what we do or what gender we have, but based on the reality of what we are. We are a human. So
last week was Thanksgiving. Hope you had a good Thanksgiving with your family. It also happened to be the week that all of our national coordinators dropped all of the reports in our inbox. And so while we're having Thanksgiving dinner, our inbox is getting blown up by wonderful reports of the things God's been doing this past year. So we got reports from certain nations in Southeast Asia, certain nations in Central Asia, South Asia. And so from this one nation where the maternity home is coming up, we got 4 reports. And so we have multiple stories of trainings that are happening where Voice for the Voiceless is going out and changing lives and impacting lives and changing the mindsets of people. We got some really wonderful stories of people who've committed. I will never, as a health worker, one lady was a health worker and she was in the training. She said, I've encouraged so many women to get abortions. This is the training we were told that the baby is not alive until it breathes oxygen. And so now I told many women to go get an abortion. And now I know the truth. And I'm so sorry. What I've done has been wrong. And I will not be promoting abortion anymore.
Another pastor said, after going to this training, he said, I actually encouraged a young woman to go get an abortion. I had no idea that this was a sin. And so he repented and he said, from now on, our church will only teach. We will not be indifferent about life, nor will we condone abortion, but we will begin to speak about it. Another story we heard was that there were many women in this area who had just a lot of depression in this particular village where they went and took the training. And when they found out that they had value, they just said they felt like this tangible feeling of depression fleeing, because they realized if God, who's named Jesus, thinks we have this much value, we must have value. Another woman in a church that heard the training, she said, this is absolutely amazing. Like that we can actually share something about the value of the preborn, but also the value of women and the value of families. She said, we cannot keep this inside the church. We must take this out because this is good news that needs to go out to our non-believing neighbors.
That's what we want to see, defending life and multiplying laborers. That's so that we catalyze disciple-making movements. That's the idea. So to bring Jesus back, we want to see all the Great Commission completed and the remaining people groups accessed. And we're seeing that the issue of life, and particularly this maternity home in this nation, will give access to new people groups and new church planters who can then have a place for referral when women need a place to go when they're at risk.
And a lot of the stories that we actually just read over Thanksgiving were people saying, you know, my sister was 15 years old, got pregnant, or we got pregnant and we did not mean to get pregnant. Just so many stories. And if there would have been a maternity home that the nation would have known about, they could have gotten women safely to a maternity home where the woman would be safe and the baby would be safe. And then the story of adoption can take place. And so if you want to help us to be able to get this maternity home off the ground, as soon as the funds come in, all of that money gets sent to the South Asian nation and they begin to work so quickly because there's not monsoons right now.
They're already working.
They're working, but it helps us to be able to have that money. We send it to them and the construction continues so that we can begin to have women inside that home whose lives will be changed. The home will be open to any religious bloc that needs a safe place for the woman and the child to be. And we just pray that this will just be a beautiful touch of Jesus Christ to women who are in crisis and to babies who need protection. So if you want to join us in this project, we encourage you during Christmas time, Jesus, who was adopted by Joseph, Mary, who was a teenage mother, in honor of the Christmas story. If you want to help us get the first maternity home in this new South Asian nation, please join us. And you can, we'll put a link to our website if you want to be a part of that. The matching grant lasts until the end of the year. So thank you so much and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. God bless.